Shabuddin and everyone.
And now I would like to request Professor Dr. Mushi to deliver his keynote speech as a keynote speaker. Now, floor is Professor Dr. Mushi. Please.
Assalamu alaikum. Before going to Prof. Mushi, I would like to inform you that we are going to record the session. So please don't hesitate about that. Thank you very much. Yeah, sure, please, Prof.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. And good day everyone. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wa mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in birahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. First of all, thank you very much our chairperson today, Dr. Shabuddin, my beloved students, actually Dr. Kausar. All right, and all the participants here. So how are you today? So
Alhamdulillah.
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 Great, thank you.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you.
Syukur, Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, syukur. Can we do exercise together tonight, inshallah? All right, so now in Malaysia time is around 9 p.m. So yeah, we do the exercise, the simple exercise. When I ask you how are you today, I hope that all of you say great. All right. Okay, can we do together with me? All right, well done. Okay, let's do it together, right? So 1, 2, 3. How are you today?
Great.
Great.
All right,
Very great.
well done. All right.
Great.
All right, thank you very much, ladies and
Great.
gentlemen. Okay, first of all, I would like to say thank you very much to the organizer because inviting me for deliver, okay, the keynote address related with the qualitative research methodology. So first of all, I would like to congratulate the speakers tonight and also the organizer because this is something good effort, meaning that you put the good efforts to disseminate the information about what is the qualitative research is all about, right? So I agree with the speakers, Dr. Shabuddin, our chairperson, Dr. Shabuddin saying that qualitative research become more popular, all right? So this is related with how do we look on the perspective, how people, especially human, look on the phenomenon, all right? How do we describe the phenomenon? This is about qualitative research, right? So ladies and gentlemen, let me share about a little bit. I've been informed by Dr. Kausar and the organizer. This session would be nicely provided for the 50 minutes. All right. Okay, the rest maybe Dr. Kausar and Dr. Shabuddin will continue to discuss about this. But inshallah, we tried my best to share about what actually the key words related with qualitative research with the 15 minutes, inshallah. Thank you very much. All right. So before we further on that, I'm introduce myself. My name is Mushi Arshad. I'm from Malaysia. So I work as associate professor in University Putra Malaysia, Faculty of Educational Studies. I joined UPM since 2008, and I did my master's degree fully in qualitative research. I did in phenomenological research. I'm studying about illegal races phenomenon in Malaysia. What is the meaning of being illegal races? So in Malaysia, it's called mat rempit. All right. So mat rempit is a terminology given by the committee about illegal races. So for my PhD, I did for my PhD qualitative research, but the direction looking on the what is the mentoring process happen, especially in develop the youth leadership potential. So I studied using qualitative case study. All right, to be exact, it's a multiple case studies. So Alhamdulillah, I think it's a good thing based on my experience conducting my research during my master's and my PhD, and Alhamdulillah, I'm teaching qualitative research in UPM. I have 2 courses teach a qualitative research in UPM, which is a introduction to qualitative research and qualitative research in educational methods, right? And as I mentioned by the our chairperson today, so Alhamdulillah, I have great opportunity to involve in many research related with qualitative research, and currently I'm one of the leaders for the research project related with the how do we develop the use policy. Okay, we're using qualitative research because we need to know what actually happened from the perspective of the youngsters nowadays. It's totally different, right? So this is my email. I hope that if you want to share oracles, materials, so you can email to me. I learn many things from my students, all right? And Dr. Kausar too, right?
Yes.
Well, during he did his PhD in UPM, right?
Yes.
He was my student, so I'm proud to see you today, sir. Right?
Thank you, sir.
And this is my phone number, nation phone number, and this is my Facebook. Okay, if you have time to be a friend, so I hope that the number of friends will increase by today, inshallah. Okay, and this is my Twitter. All right, this is about myself. Basically, for the postgraduate studies, I teach about youth development, about extension education, and related with the qualitative research. Okay, this is my just alhamdulillah, we get the opportunity to share and disseminate the information to the media based on the research. How do we translate it, okay, into the practice? So majority of the community, they are not read, okay, the journal articles. They are not read Q1, they are not read Q2, but they read newspaper. So this is how we translate. Okay, this is a part of the qualitative research. How do we interpret from the findings and we disseminate and tell the readers, especially the community, about related with the subject matters. So alhamdulillah, I'm also involved in the community, in the international bodies. Alhamdulillah, I was involved in UNESCO as an expert panel in developing youth and adult ICT policy, and also in the Commonwealth Secretariat until now. Alhamdulillah, in helping the Commonwealth countries for the youth development. Right. Alhamdulillah, before COVID-19, I have opportunity went to the Bangladesh. All right. I went to Rajadapur and went to the Bangladesh Open University in helping them to shape the youth development program there. Right. This is a great opportunity there. So alhamdulillah. So now we'd like to discuss about a very simple one. Have you seen this picture before this? All right. This is a fruit. It's called durian. All right. It's a very popular
and delicious.
Okay, among Malaysian. Yeah, it's a delicious, right?
Yes,
Thank
it's
you very much.
delicious.
I think most people around the world know about this fruit, all right? In Malaysia, in Southeast Asia, I think in Bangladesh, it's so popular about this, all right? This is a king of the fruit. Okay, so you know about the taste of durian, right? You know this is delicious, it's tasty. Some of you say that yucky, right? But this is normal. Okay, this is a perception by people. But you know about the taste of durian. Okay, this simple one. You know about the taste of durian. Is it easy for you to share to others, for those who are not having any experience eating durian? And when you talk about the durian, they will feel that, oh my God, thank you very much. This is taste by durian. You can feel that. Is it easy for you to tell others about the taste of durian? All right, this is a good scenario, right? You know the taste of durian, you know very well about durian, but it's a bit difficult, you know, to tell others about the taste of durian. That is a reality. So when talking about the nature of this is called a phenomenon. All right. So when we talk about phenomenon, you may not avoid the two important things related. Okay, as a good researcher, you need to know about these two things, which is called tacit and explicit experience. We're talking about the explicit. Is something that easy for you to transfer. It seems like a written. Okay, I give you some example. You can assign your students, you can assign your members, right, to read about this paragraph. I give you 3 minutes. So after that, you can elaborate very well based on your reading. That is called explicit. All right, this is called explicit, meaning that from your observation, from your determination when looking on the figure, you will exactly explain about that. But in reality, you may not hide one important thing, which is called a tacit experience. Right? The tacit experience is something different with explicit. It's something hard to communicate. It's not easy to deliver. But you can know about their reality. You know about the phenomenon based on your investigation, based on your understanding on the phenomenon. Right? Maybe based on your thought, you're saying that your friend are sad. Okay, your friend is sad, right? Is it really they are sad? Maybe they are not really sad. Sometimes they are maybe too happy and then they're crying, right? This is something that you need to know from the tacit perspective. That is a reality. when you want to know about the tacit experience, we need a qualitative research to cater about this. It's something that you need to explain. It's a back to Durian. All right. So Durian, as I mentioned to you before, it seems like a tacit experience. All right. And of course, it's not easy, to deliver about what is the taste of durian. But you will know about durian while you are investigating, you are exploring, and you are understanding what is the taste of durian. That is a reality of the qualitative research. All right. So when talking about the qualitative research, we're looking from the Menon perspective, right? It's a very late, I think late Menon perspective in 1979. They start to talk about the qualitative. It seems like a big umbrella. Okay, it seems like a big umbrella. So when you are getting raining, you start to prepare your umbrella, right? Okay, so it seems like the analogy for the qualitative research. So this umbrella is talking about the interpretative technique. Why is the interpretative technique? Because you are researcher, you are primary instrument. Okay, you are primary instrument. So when talking about the primary instrument, your roles here in helping the readers based on your interpretation, you will explain about the phenomenon that you study. All right. This is back to the principle of emic and ethic. Emic, you open the informant's perspective. Ethic, you open your perspective as a researcher. So while you getting down, go to the data collection, when you're having the data collection, of course, you start to open the emic, meaning that you get, okay, the meaning that something that you get descriptively from the informant. And now, based on your data, you start to interpret. So meaning that you start to describe the data. You start to give the code, so it's called the code, meaning that you put the label on the data. You translate it, maybe too complicated. Now you are going to translate that. And of course, at the end, you make a meaning. So because this is related with the naturally occurring phenomena, because your study is related with the real situation. All right? Clear? All right. This is a basic principle about qualitative research. Okay? Okay, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very simple one. It seems like a squirrel. Okay? So the qualitative research is just not the exploring of the fact, but it's a training, okay, the mind to think. It seems like a squirrel. So when talking about the squirrel, they jump from the one tree to another tree, right? The squirrel will not jump at the same path. They jump higher. Why they jump higher? Because the squirrel know if they miss this branch, they have another branch. They miss this branch, they have another branch. But if they're still missing the branch, okay, the ground will not stay away, right? They are of course they will be falling down because they know about this thing. This is a reality why the squirrel looking forward to interpret the phenomenon. So of course, as a qualitative researcher, you will put all your perspective. How do you bracketing yourself in ensuring that you are not biased, but fairly and surely you explain about the phenomenon. This is called trustworthiness, right? This is called a trustworthiness. So of course, in qualitative research, at the end, you will explain the meaning, all right? You will explain the meaning of life. It's something a bit difficult if you conduct quantitative research in explaining the meaning. Of course, the qualitative research will explain the meaning. What's the meaning of being a postgraduate student? Like you, right? All right. So what's the meaning of being a good person? All right. This is something like related, okay, with the perspective of the human. How we look on the perspective. Okay. All right. So is it yourself during your Viva?
Yes,
Is it
very
yourself
clear.
during your Viva? So meaning that you are still struggling to do that. All right. Okay. But never mind. It's okay. Get rid about this. All right. This is just a joking. So show that this is a reality, even though the old lady is still enjoying the technology. All right. They're still enjoying the WhatsApp. They're still enjoying the Zoom, for example. So meaning that is something like good perspective on it. I still remember when I did my research attachment at University of Illinois, when I Champaign, US, I said to the next of the old man. I still remember that. So the old man said that I just to ask that person, the old man, why you are pursuing your master's degree? So you know what is the answer? I want to put my master degree at my tombstone. So I hope that you thought not to put your master degree at tombstone, right? Okay, so this is how you interpret about why you are here. All right, this is related with qualitative research. That's why we're talking about the qualitative, something that you need to have the explanation to something like complex, but you can detail understanding on the perspective. Sometimes maybe there are lack of fit between quantitative measures and the problem exists. So you need qualitative research to explain that. Sometimes maybe you have a theory, all right, to address the gaps, but especially you want to understand further on that. And sometimes you need to have the follow-up explanation. Maybe not something like satisfied explaining about the phenomenon, but you need more explanation. And of course, it's allowing you to have the in-depth understanding of the context. That is a qualitative research. So when you're facing that kind of situation, if you related back to your problem of your study needed on this, then you need qualitative research. All right. Okay, so this is a reality talking about the assumption of the qualitative research. And of course, qualitative research occurs in natural setting. It's a reality. You may not creating that reality, but you enjoy the reality, you observe and you interpret that. So of course, we're talking about the natural setting, it backs to the experiences, process, meaning, and of course, in a qualitative research, this is a good thing about this because we are constructivist perspective. We allow for the multiple realities. All right. Which one is most handsome? Is it Shah Rukh Khan or me myself? So you can address it. Okay, which one is most handsome? Of course, Shah Rukh Khan, not me, right? But maybe some of you will have the different determination. If you ask my wife, of course, my wife say that I'm most handsome compared to Shah Rukh Khan because I'm taken by her. All right, this just is a very simple one. Multiple realities. We allow the multiple realities and we appreciate the multiple realities. And of course, when talking about the perspective here, you are a primary instrument. All right. So why you are primary instrument? Because you are beginning, you have the problem of your study. Of course, you're creating your problem, right? You are creating the problem. Of course, yourself as a researcher. All right. If not, why you pursue your master's degree or PhD about your direction? You go and explore it. You go get the data. You start to analyze the data. You enter the data, and at the end, you will tell the readers what you have. This is called primary instrument. Okay, and of course, qualitative research, you are not just rely on the numbers, but you're explaining on that, right? And of you can conduct the observation, the document analysis, and last but not least, maybe you can have the audio visual in supporting your data. This is called a triangulation, all right? Interpretation. So something unique, and of course, something that maybe you may not expect your findings. This is called emerging design, all right? Maybe it's out of the context of the theory from the model. Maybe you get more because you are studying about your perspective, right? And of course, qualitative is studying that because this inductive nature, the inductive nature of research, you need to start from the bottom to the top, meaning that you do not have the predetermined variable, right? You start from the bottom. That's why in the qualitative research, we are not going like quantitative research because they are deductive research. So what is the difference between that? Because in quantitative research, you are going to test the hypothesis. Rather than qualitative research, it's a more inductive. You are not going to test the hypothesis, but you are going to develop the hypothesis. That is the nature of bottom-up process. And of course, like a Durian, you utilize the tacit knowledge, and of course, you have the trustworthiness through verification. All right. So as I mentioned to you, in a qualitative research, we have the interview. So interview, we have in-depth interview, we have focus group discussion, FGD. All right. We have observation. We have the document analysis, and we have audio visual material. How do you analyze the data from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube? All right. It's related with your study, right? So this is something like, how do we breaking out the taboo? When talking about qualitative, interview. When talking interview, qualitative. Interview, qualitative, right? So this is just not interview, but we have the multiple methods here, all right? And this is nature on how qualitative. So all in all, based on my explanation, I can give you a punchline. Okay, it seems like a conclusion. Swimming pool, you know, that's a huge, but it's not deep. All right, that is an analogy for quantitative research. All right, you will get from the perspective, because the quantitative you generate from the population, meaning that you believe that the sample will representing the population. But for the qualitative research, it seems like a well. From the huge swimming pool, you just get one piece of the information and try to go deep. That is an analogy of the quantitative and qualitative. So after this, when you see swimming pool, when you see the well, you will remember myself. Oh, Dr. Murshid. So I'm happy to change your paradigm and perspective starting from today. Thank you very much. All right. So according to Albert Einstein, said that not everything that can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted. So this seems like a reality. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, that's my share, my point of view of the qualitative research. I hope that you are happy within the 15 minutes of my keynote address. I wish best of you, best of luck, and good luck for your qualitative research studies. All the best. See you again. Ladies and gentlemen, I will pass back to Dr. Shabuddin.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Murshid, for your nice presentation and delivery. And very simply and clearly, you address the qualitative research. So now I would like to invite our speaker, Dr. MD Kausar Alam. Dr. Kausar Alam is very good, and he's a hard working researcher and very good patience in research qualitative. And within 2 years, he published almost 15 articles in reported publishers like this Emerald, Taylor and Francis, Wiley, IGI, reported publishers. So now I want to invite Dr. Kausar Alam as a speaker to present his session. Welcome to Dr. Kausar Alam. Now floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you, brother Shahuddin, Dr. Shahuddin, postdoctoral fellow. And at the beginning, I would like to thank you again, and I thank again my honorable professor, Dr. Mushi Arshad. I got his kind support, his kind-hearted support during my PhD journey when I completed my data collection. Before going to the data analysis, I met with him, and he supported very well. And after that, with his support, I submitted my thesis. I published several articles. And I joined his classes. He taught us the qualitative research, and I joined another professor here, Prof. Abdul Latif. He taught us advanced qualitative research. So I'm grateful both of them, and grateful to UPM that I learned a lot of things and too many things from the UPM, and also the qualitative research, especially from the education faculty. I learned the theoretical part from my co-supervisors, and I was mostly guided by my supervisors. And thank you again, Professor Murshid, for a valuable time. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome, Dr. Kausar.
Thank you. It's okay. I think you can see my slides here. So I'm not much more expert like my prof in slide preparing and slide presentation, but I did my best to make it more clear for you. And after that, maybe we can go for Q&A session. Before that, as we have the Professor Murshid here, maybe I don't know how long he will be with us at the end or not. Will you be with us at the end of the program, or you may live? You can live in the, or you live, or you live in the middle of the.
It's okay. It's okay. Session. Yeah, I can spend for a while because after this I have another meeting. No problem. Since
Okay,
we're waiting for the next meeting, I will be here. No
okay,
problem.
so in that case, if you have any core issues, maybe you can ask 1 or 2 questions maybe for our professor. Maybe if you profile for us, then maybe 1 or 2 questions if you have anything at the very beginning to our professor.
Hello. May I ask a question if it's okay?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Assalamualaikum. Thank you, Dr. Murshid, for coming, and thank you, Dr. Kausar. And Dr. Shahabuddin, sir, for arranging this amazing session on qualitative research. So my question is that, especially when collecting data, for example, recently I've had to collect some data via Facebook boosting, but it was qualitative data I had to collect via Facebook boosting. So when I write, how can I write it? What type of sampling will it be? Because I had a crisis in finding enough respondents, and I had 101 respondents. Many of them I got from Facebook boosts, and some I had to message in Facebook. But the research was on pregnancy nutrition. So what will I term that data, or what will I term the sampling process as? I'm very confused.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Sabir. Right.
Yes.
So thank you very much. I think it's a good question. So the new revolution of the qualitative data can be from the internet base. It's called audio visual material. You can make it as an audio visual material as your data, but you need to have the criteria. You need to explain well in your chapter 3. Okay, so meaning that especially in the methodological chapter, all right. So meaning that you need to explain well about the criteria of the internet-based sources, right? So you need to have that things. And of course, you not need to rely 100% from the data. Maybe you need some explanation. You can have the follow-up interview with your informant, all right? So as you know that during the pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, so the revolution of the data collection, maybe you can conduct for the webinar, like session like that. Maybe you can have the interview, you can face your informant, right? By that, you can use via internet platform like a Zoom, WebEx, and so forth. All right, so this is not having a problem on that. So you can explain it in your chapter, especially in your data analysis discussion on that. You can have that discussion, no problem. But maybe you can, seems like a supporting, okay, the evidence that you get from the interview, or maybe from the another findings that you get. So for me, it is something good. Maybe you can something that you can elaborate further on the phenomenon, okay, based on the internet-based sources. All right, so you can explain it, no problem.
Okay, sir. Thank you. And sir, one more question regarding this, sir, if you could follow up, sir. What I did is that because I was suffering from COVID at the time, I couldn't interview. So I released a Google form with a lot of open-ended long questions. Is that okay? Because when writing my analysis, I have directly copy-pasted a lot of quotes, and I have categorized data. It took a little bit more time, but do you think that is okay and acceptable, as long as I have their consent and everything, if I use a Google form method?
All right, I think it's a good things. You can have the Google form discussion, meaning that they can put their point of view, their thought, okay, in the writing, especially the Google form that you provide. Okay,
Yes.
maybe they can explain during in the writing. Okay, this is called a document analysis, because you have get it from the let's say, for example, the data from the Google form. Then you have the script, right? The transcript from that. By
Yes,
right,
yes.
you analyze on that. You are not conducting the interview, but you rely on that. It's called the document analysis, meaning that you do the analysis on that particular document. But if you feel that you need some more explanation, these are good potential things that maybe you can contact the informant. All right, maybe as long as the informant meet the criteria, you can contact your informant to conduct for the interview, to explain about little bit that something that maybe you need further explanation and elaboration. Okay, so the data can be considered as a document analysis.
Document analysis. So I'm opening my
Yeah.
copy. In fact, I will write this down right now. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Okay, you're most welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Alam. I have a questions.
Good evening, doctor.
Yeah, please.
Can you hear me,
Doctor?
please?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah,
Can
please.
hear you.
Please go on with your question.
Okay.
Yeah,
Doctor,
actually, yeah, I was asking that many a times when you publish your research, so there can be an issue and they ask for your data, but the clients don't have their data saved, either in the hard form or either in the soft form. As the last colleague was saying about, they have data collected in the Google form. So what can be the solution for that if you don't have data now and they are asking and requesting you to provide the data? And if they have in the SPSS, is that enough, or how can they, any solution for that?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Imran Khan. All right, I hope that you are doing well. Maybe you can discuss it as a limitation of your study. All right, you can make it as a discussion of the limitation of your study. So maybe the reader will expect that you can have something like problem engagement with informant. You can do the let's say for example the observation, but the limitation is there because you have limitation due to the data you get. All right, so as much as best you can. All right, try to get the data, and it's a very important thing that your data must reach the saturation. Okay, must answer all the research question that you are highlighting in your research. This is very, very important. All right, so of course you can have the strategy to get the data and make sure, okay, to avoid this kind of issues. I highly you and the rest of the participants today, okay, you must have the clear informant criteria, because the good criteria of the informant will minimizing the field issues that you mentioned just now. All right, so try to have the very clear criteria, because it will helping you at the same time to provide the good sampling, which is related with the purposive sampling that you conducted in qualitative research. That's my answer.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Prof, we have another question in the chat box. How about using expert review surveys? Please?
Expert review survey. So what do you mean, Sabir?
So I didn't ask. Miss
Kokila
asked, and I would like to know what they are as well. It's the first time I've heard about them.
Okay, basically we're talking about the expert review. It depends. Sometimes the survey is most commonly that happen in quantitative research. But maybe in qualitative research, is the most important thing that you know that this is called the interview protocol. Certain scholars say that it's interview guide. Okay, maybe you can appoint, okay, external reviewer maybe to review that. That's why in trustworthiness in qualitative research, you have the peer review. So peer review seems that your supervisory committee or maybe your team members in the research, so they can be, okay, a reviewer. At the same time, you can appoint someone. Maybe you can enable the external audit. Maybe you can have the peer debriefing, okay, to appoint the expert, okay, to look on that. All right, this is something on how you do something like
Yeah, please wait. Please wait for a while. Okay, I got a short message from our professor. He has an internet problem maybe. He takes message as the internet problem. So maybe we can hear from him later again. Thank you very much for joining. I'd like to share my slide again. Prof, can you hear me?
Dr. Kausar, we cannot hear you too.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much for joining the session. Our today's session, qualitative research concept, method, and process. I'm Dr. Mohammad Kausar Alam. I completed my PhD from University of Malaysia. Currently, I'm working as a senior lecturer at Department of Business Administration, University of South Asia, Dhaka, Bangladesh. And we have also research site, research methodology tools and systems. We have the Facebook page as well as the Facebook group. Somehow we share our thoughts and some publications regarding the methodology. Only we provide the methodological issues, terms, and concept in the Facebook page. And I completed my BBA and MBA from Jagannath University under the Department of Accounting and Information Systems. Here is my email. So if you need anything, maybe you can write me an email, or we have the WhatsApp group here maybe for this session. I already shared my paper regarding research methodology. I think all of you have got that paper. After that, maybe after completing the session, I will share the paper also in the WhatsApp group so that maybe you can get some ideas about the about qualitative research, case study, data collection, and NVivo data analysis, as well as the saturation process. I explained in the paper that how I got the saturation in my research project, and what are the procedures, and we collected my data, the selection process of the respondents, as well as data interpretation in the NVivo and everything, results and publication. I did this one because I have published at this moment 14 empirical papers for my thesis project. So I have my data set was very large, and I published. I had 2 data set, and I somehow managed to get the interview and the respondents. And finally, I thought that I should publish my methodological paper. This is in my mind from one of the paper I saw that the only data saturation. And when I did my research, I was doing my PhD. In that time, I found that we have some very little literature regarding the data saturation as well as the saturation process. Then I thought that, oh, here I have some clues for the data saturation as well as some procedure and some guidance for the data saturation process. Then I tried to publish that one, and that's why that was the motivation to prepare that manuscript. It was published by Emerald Enlisted Journal, Qualitative Research in Organizations and Management. It's now Q2 journal. I took more than 20 months to publish the manuscript. I got 5 times a revision from the journal, from the reputed reviewers, anonymous reviewers. I assumed that they are the professor, and initially when I got the corrections, it was more than 5 pages, and it took 15 days to complete the corrections, the first revision. And I did that well in Malaysia, when I was in Malaysia. So Alhamdulillah, I will share that paper also in the WhatsApp group. So I think you can see my slide at this moment. So my sound is clear. Can you hear properly?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, Doctor.
Okay. So this is our presentation outline. Here, what is qualitative research, and as you already informed some of the get information, some information from our honorable professor, Dr. Mushi Arshad, and he presented a very brief for us. And I hope that here we have some more descriptive elaboration regarding the qualitative research method, research approaches, and data collection procedure, types of interviews, data saturation, as well as analysis and writing. Okay, what is qualitative research? Normally, we do qualitative research for more and broad understanding of any situation or any phenomena or any event or any issues, that for a deep understanding of a specific organization or an event. It does not introduce treatments or manipulate variables or impose the researchers operational definitions of variables of the on the participants. Rather, it lets the meaning emerge from the participants. In normally qualitative research, what we do, we code and interpret data, analyze, and conceptual or contextual or critical analysis based on the findings and also the interviews or from the opinion of the from the respondents, and we observe on the respondent way of expression as well as their expression and explanation about their experience, because they know well on that issue. Because so we normally interpret their opinion and their answers to get a better understanding through first-hand experience, truthful reporting and quotations of actual conversation. It aims to understand how to participate drive meaning from their surroundings and how their meaning influence their behavior. This is the first issue, that the researcher here are directly involved in data collection, and here the truthful reporting that we here shows some quotations, some observational notes, and some data saturational notes from our regarding our findings from the data collection procedure from the interviews. And qualitative research uses observation as the data collection method. Observation is a selection and recording of behaviors of people in their environment. I mentioned that we observe the people of expression, their facial expression, their official environment, their working environment. Observation is used extensively in studies by psychologists, anthropologists, sociologists, and program evaluator. Direct observation reduces distortion between the observer and what is observed that can be produced by an instrument. Here in the physical interview, we can directly observe the scenario of the respondent working environment space. But in terms of the Zoom or online interview, or by using another interview methods, we can check only the observation of the way of expression. That sometimes, how are you? Okay, maybe we say that okay, I am well, but we do not have any happiness or love in our face or any expression. Maybe we have some not good or happy sign in our faces. So here, importance of qualitative research. Here we mentioned that first-hand experience, truthful reporting, and conditions of actual conversations. Here, why do you need qualitative research? Normally, sorry, in quantitative research, we just examine the hypothetical result, whether it is accepted or not, that there any relationship, statistical relationship, and also the validity, something like this. But if we want to explore anything, that why do most of the young Bangladeshi generation use Facebook? Not only in Bangladesh, in all over the world, the users of the Facebook is increasing day by day. But what's the reason why they're it's very easier for them, and why they're very addicted about that, and they're very connected with this Facebook, and what are the benefits of using Facebook? Oh, okay, we can ask the respondent, is there any benefits? And we cannot answer this, maybe yes or no, something like this. You want to explore more, what are the benefits? Why normally most of the time we use WhatsApp? If you talk about the regarding the WhatsApp in the Malaysian context, they're mostly connected with the WhatsApp as well as the Facebook. But why they're very intended in the WhatsApp? We want to know information. Then it is not possible for us to explore by yes, no, or something like this, or hypothetical way. So that's why we want to explore more broadly information about that. And how do Facebook influence in the young generation lifestyle? Maybe we can explain that one. Okay, so you are using this Facebook, and do you have any changes in your practical life, maybe in your food habit or in your regular routine? Do you have any changes, and how it impacts your daily works or routine works? We can just like this. In my cases, sometimes I uninstall the Facebook because I sometimes I have to very busy with that my works, and sometimes I spend most of the cases more 4 or 5 hours in a day to surfing the Facebook something, but without having any good results. So sometimes I uninstall that one, and to reduce my addictiveness in surfing Facebook, and I concentrate in another activities and another works. Okay, here the basic differences between the qualitative and quantitative research. Here, how does qualitative research differ from the quantitative? Here, focus quality or meaning of experience, quantity, frequency, and magnitude, philosophical roots, constructive interpretism, and positivism in quantitative side. Goals of the investigation: understand, describe, and discover. We want to understand the situation, why this is happening, what was the actual reason, and we want to describe and we want to discover the hidden reason, also the inherent truth of that situation. Predict, control, confirm, test. There is a relationship, maybe what is the relationship, is there any positive influence or negative influence, something like this. In design characteristics: flexible, evolving, and emergent, structured, and predetermined. In quantitative research, we have the structured question here, and it was predetermined. Maybe it will be positive or it will be negative. But in qualitative research, we do not know whether result will come, what will be the result and outcome from our interviews. And data collection research as an instrument. Interviews, you normally collect data, document, we use documents and observe the situation and field notes sometimes. And external instrumental tests like surveys. Okay, here the research approach, we have the two research approaches, deductive and inductive approaches. Normally in qualitative research, we use the inductive approaches. The deductive or top-down approach involves developing a hypothesis based on an existing theory, and then the hypothesis subjected to empirical study. This approach follows conclusion logically, as researcher starts with a particular two general questions that we are asking, two questions that we have the relationship, any something we have any effect or impact in that relationship with a certain area, certain issue. In other words, it is started with the taking up a theory, then finding new hypotheses to be able to test them by confronting it with observations, and finally reaching a conclusion. The deductive approach is used in quantitative research, in which hypothesized relationship are developed and tested when using a deductive approach, and understanding the facts being established, as well as a detached and object view of the phenomenon is needed. Yeah, we can say that. And opponently, inductive approach generates the theory as the outcome of the research. This approach is often trended as bottom up, because we get the data from the respondents from the field area, and then we analyze that one. We initially code, decode, as well as then we make subcategory, category, and we make the main theme, sub theme, and main theme. Then we propose a theory, something from our findings. With that, then in the findings, this research starts with a narrow focus and moves on the generalize the findings to a broad segment of subject. In this approach, no theories or hypotheses would be applied at the initial stage of the research process. Thus, findings will be obtained whether the study is completed. Method survey: in the inductive methods, we use surveys, interviews, focus group, and personal interviews, as well as some other documental libraries. This is something we can do to support our interviews and findings. Okay, in qualitative, we have 5 research methods here. Normally 5 or 6 research methods. Sometimes you will find here 4, 5 or 6. Sometimes here we have the total I discuss here, total 6 approaches, 6 method here. Action research. Normally action research 6 transformative changes through the simultaneous process of taking action and doing research, which are linked together by critical reflection. If you can do this action research, whether we want to solve the regular problem in your office or in a working area or working environment, in that case, we want to examine the situation, whether our active plan, our planning, initial strategic plan is working well, and do we need to changes, and what changes we do in it, and why we have failed in our working environment. This is the issue. And ethnographic research is probably the most familiar and applicable type in qualitative method in UX professionals. Ethnography has its root in cultural ethnography, where researchers immerse themselves within a culture, often for years. Normally, in ethnographic research, we go in ethnic city or ethnic people that we want to in a particular group that we want to explore their lifestyle, life standards, maybe something in a particular area, particular zone, or particular group of people. In that case, the researcher normally works there, and he sometimes may work with them. I stay with them for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, even sometimes in 5 or 10 years also. And third one is narrative. The narrative approach waves together a sequence of events, usually just from just 1 or 2 individuals to form a cohesive story. Narrative is normally we can take like a storytelling, something we can take interview from 2 people, 3 people, 5 people, just raw down or take out the actual scenario. And phenomenological. In this case, normally we take the practical experience interviews with the people, those who have the practical experience, something like this. You want to know the scenario that from the doctors, what are the reasons behind the cancer increases in your country or in Bangladesh. In that case, we should specifically select our respondents we want to explore the scenario, practical scenario of the region. So in that case, we should go with the doctors, those who are practical or directly working with the cancer patients. They have best experience. Then in that case, maybe they will share their experiences about this. And grounded theory, in that case, if you do not have any practical scenario or any issues about any event, in that case, we can use this theory. What is a phenomenological study looks to describe the essence of an activity or an event. Grounded theory looks to provide an explanation or theory behind the events. Normally, we use interviews and existing documents to build a theory based on the data. And we go through a series of open and Excel coding techniques to identify themes and build a theory. And case study is very famous in social science research. I used this case study to explore the Sharia governance in the context of Bangladesh. You can explore the practical scenario of the event, the corporate governance or any other issues from the expert professionals, from the regulators or involved stakeholders. So here sampling in qualitative research, normally we have the units of analysis or the sample. This is the sampling. The researcher needs to consider whether, when, who, what, how to collect the data. Initially, before going to data collection, we should decide from whom I should collect data. I will collect data when and where. It's from, maybe it can be in Bangladesh, it can be in your area, or it can be in a part or division in your country, and when I should go with the respondents, whether they will be available in that time or not, and how I should collect the data. It should be maybe in physical, or it should be in Zoom or any other using software or any other application. Maybe you can use email, you can use survey, or you can maybe a direct phone call or telephone call to collect the data. Selection of the research site, time, people, and events. And types of sampling, we have research. We have two sampling procedure: probability and non-probability sampling. Probability sampling, random sampling, allows to generalize the population. Normally, we use this is in quantitative and probability, and in qualitative. Non-probability techniques are purposive, used in typical sampling, unique sampling, maximize or variation sampling, convenience sampling, snowball chain or network sampling, and theoretical sampling in qualitative research. So typical sampling, it reflects the average person's situation and instance of the phenomenon. Unique sampling, based on the unique atypical, perhaps rare attributions or occurrence of the phenomenon, and maximize variation sampling, variations of the phenomenon, position, average, and negative. Convenience sampling, based on the time, money, location, availability of the sites or the respondents, not so good, many produce information, poor cases. In that case, if we have the limitation, maybe we have the time, we have the we have the money, location, and even though also in that case now during this COVID situation, maybe we can use this convenience sampling, that we are not able to meet the people or to meet the respondents, and we have the fairness, fear among during this COVID situation among us, maybe among the participant as well as the researcher, participant, interview and interviewee, both of them case. And snowball or chain of network sampling strategy involves asking each participant or group to refer to other participants, and theoretical sampling, purposive sampling, which the total sample is not selected ahead of the time. This is the theoretical sampling. Maybe you can saturate the data saturation. We can reach in the data saturation maybe after 10 or 12, 15, 30, 40, maybe 14 respondents. Regarding the snowball, maybe you can ask the participants, or you can actually respondents, that whether in that case maybe you don't know about the respondents in your area, but you can ask the respondent, okay, I have some 4 or 5 respondents in this area, I know some expert, but I don't know about the whole area, so can you suggest me some potential respondents or potential person who can provide me better information or quality information. In that case, I use this also snowball sampling in my research framework, because I know I selected some of the people for my interviews, and when I met with an institution, the Central Sharia Board, regarding the respondents, the authority person, he's mentioned that, okay, can I see your respondent list? And I showed him that this is my respondent list, and he suggested me that you can go these people also, because they are more familiar with the issue and they have more expertise in the issue. And I got some of the person, those who have the 40 years or 30 years experience, and they're very well, and they explained the issue very exploratively and broadly for me, and it was really helpful. for me. And lastly, the saturation. And regarding the saturation, we collect data until data redundancy, something like this, until reaching a saturational point, until reaching a highest point of the data collection. And when we get the same respondent, same response or similar responses from the participants, from the respondents, then in that case, maybe we can assume that the data saturation. Here some of the 16 types of sampling in qualitative research. You can click on the slide link, and maybe you'll find some other sampling techniques in qualitative research. This is the diagram I used in my thesis as well as in some of my articles. I followed this one. The research method was qualitative, inductive, and single case study research design. In my cases, it was in the context of Bangladesh and Islamic banking area. Research population was from the central bank, executive, Sharia board members, scholars, practitioners, and experts. So those were the practical experience, teaching experience, something regarding the governance policies. And sampling method was the non-probability sampling, purposive, and snowball sampling. Here for my data collection, before the going to the final data collection, I pre-test and examine the questions, research questions, interview protocol with 7 respondents. And finally, I collect data from the 17 respondents from the Islamic Bank and Central Bank. In Bangladesh, I got the saturation point after reaching the 70 respondent. Data gathering procedure, same structured face-to-face interviews, observations, and documentation. Data analysis technique was imaging, and I used the NVivo software. And in that case, I learned from my roommates as well as I learned a practical hands-on session from my professor here, Dr. Mushi. He supported very well, and he showed me how to analyze the data. And he showed me the initial one. I completed, and he checked, and he cross-checked the data analysis procedure, and he said, okay, you are in track, so please go on. And ethical approval, before that you should collect your data. Before going to collect your data, you should take ethical approval from your institution, or any, maybe sometimes in medical cases, some the particular stakeholders, maybe government or medical institution, medical association, regarding the research area, you should take proper ethical approval from the concerned authorities and from the concerned parties. Here, data collection procedure, normally we have the interviews, we have the documentation, observation, field notes here. The interviews may be individual, it can be group. In individual interview or personal interview is better, because in this interview, the respondents, he can talk freely. He can talk freely without any interference, or without any interference, or without any fairness. So maybe he can share his inherent views. If we normally take group interview, maybe he will not share, or she will not share something that is inherent, because here maybe some conflict about the participant, maybe senior junior boss conflict, something like this. And we have also the group interviews, the focus group. Normally we take 5 to 6 or 12 group persons in a group. Maybe you can we can take 2, 5, 6, and 8 groups of, to collect the group interviews and focus group interviews. And documentation to validate your findings, to support your findings, the interview results and outcomes. We can collect your data from published materials, annual reports, internet websites, the company website, meeting minutes, as well as unpublished documents. You can collect some unpublished documents from the respondents, and maybe some published documents, books, and other reading materials for supporting your documents. And observation, individual observation, facial expression, as well as the working environment. Okay, maybe the respondent is busy. You have too many things in his stable surrounding, in his stable here. He's very busy. Yeah, he should do too many things, too many comments from the seniors. So after one, he can complete another one. He's very busy. He's in rush, but he's working. Maybe there is unhappiness regarding salary, working environment, working structure, as well as the stretch regarding the works and work pressure here. And field notes, normally in ethnographic, field notes are a qualitative approach often used in ethnography. Field notes are written observation recorded during the or immediately following participant observation in the field, or are considered critical to understand the phenomenon encountered in the field. Maybe you can, when you reach the situation, you can note down that, okay, I was there, I reached in the places and here in that time, and I came out in that time here, I saw, observe, and some notes. You can take also some field notes, and you can support these documents in relation to support your findings. Okay, here the data saturation. Normally, in regarding the qualitative data saturation, still we have the less evidence regarding the saturation. Though these debates is started from during the 90s era of 19. Saturation indicates to no new information, codes or themes are generated from the data sources ground from the more firmly perceived concept of theoretical saturation in the grounded theory. Guest et al. Explained the data saturation, the point the data collected and analysis for new information produces little or no changes to the code book. Maybe when you get saturated data, maybe when you're taking interview, you can observe and you can listen the answer of the respondents. And maybe when you get after 5 or 6 or 10 in a similar group, maybe we reach the saturation 8 to 12 respondents or 15 respondents is enough in a similar group. Normally in qualitative research, you can take 5 respondent data from 5 respondents is also accepted in qualitative. Some of them maybe use normally now the people are using high respondent is 40, 50, 100 and something like this. So here no changes. When you get that something no new after 5 or 6 respondents, that respondents are saying similar responses previously collected from other respondents. So we have nothing new adding in our code book or in our data bank in that case. So with variations containing some additional new codes and refinements of code definitions here, thematic exertion or the position, while no themes are derived from the data bank, you do not find anything new from the respondents and interviews. The definition of data saturation is similar to the concept of the saturation as information redundancy. Here, saturation can be considered attaining the ultimate point of data collection by the researchers without adding anything in the data bank. Here, I found in my thesis, in my research, I showed this one that I attain saturation. I have the 3 stages. I described 3 stages of data saturation. Firstly, information redundancy. I did not get nothing new in that case. Second, the referring to the respondents already considered in the study without knowing anything about the data collection and their responses. Say for example that I went to you and I met you for data collection, and when I met with you and you mentioned that okay, your question is very well, okay, blah blah blah, and you mentioned your observation, something like this, okay, and you saw my question here, okay, and you mentioned that okay, very well, I would like to help you, okay, no problem, I will help you. So before that, I would like to know that did you collect data from these people? And then I mentioned that yes, I collected data from those respondents. Then he said, and he mentioned that okay, if you got the data, or if you collected that data from that respondents or from the participant or from the persons, I think you got your appropriate results or more explanation in that cases. And I think you got your actual results. So I think I'm not necessary, or it's not necessary to provide my opinion, to provide my answers regarding you. Then I asked the reviewers, when I submitted this, when I put this justification in my paper, the reviewer asked me a question. Maybe the respondent somehow that intention to maybe he want to skip the interviews, he don't want to say something. Then I raised the point that the respondent did not have that intention to skip the interview, because if he had that intention to skip the interviews, in that case he don't entertain me in his office, and he provided some documents and some small gift from his offices. Maybe it's like that official souvenir or pen, photographs or other notebook from his office regarding that their corporation. And I put that justification without knowing anything about the data collection and their responses, because the respondent did not know anything what the previous respondent said. So this was the second justification regarding my data saturation stage. And third one, through NVivo data coding. Data coding process due to the decrease of the references, of course, in a certain position or in the saturation position as a result of fewer outcomes or insufficient information. When I maybe I met the 8 or 9 respondents, after that I made another one, I did not get enough result or information redundancy and fewer outcomes. When I code the data, I did not get much more coding in that process. So I finished and stopped my data collection. Here, this is the process in the figure. The interview, collect interview documents and observe, here referring to the prior respondent. This is one of the issue, saturation process. Transcribe interviews and checked with the documents, found information redundancy in further interviews. discuss with the other respondents for more clarification. And after that, I discussed with some other respondents. So when I reached the position, I went and met some other respondents. I asked them about the procedure, and he said, okay, the same, and they are mentioning the same issues. And lastly, the describing of references in a certain position or in the saturation position due to the fear or some, and nothing new, and I stopped the interviews. I stopped the interviews at the last stages. So in data analysis, what is data analysis? A complex process that involves moving back and forth. Normally in qualitative research, most important part is taking the collection. Interview collection is most important part. If you are unable to take the in-depth interview or collect the actual scenario or inherent scenario or reason or application or the procedure or the results or output, then your data will not be more valuable to the readers. In that case, this is the first challenges for the qualitative research, to collect broad and inherent data and also the good data from the respondents. And second is that the analysis, the transcription part. After taking the interview, the most important issue is that after collecting data, you need to transcribe that one and clearly, properly, and proper way. After that, you need to check, recheck, cross-check, and the analysis part. These stages, it takes times, maybe 3, 4 months, 6 months, sometimes. I found one of my brother, he collected data from 7 respondents by spending 9 months. Not from Bangladesh, from outside, but I collected 34 interviews, data from 34 respondents, only 26 states in Bangladesh I collected. And in that case also, I got support from some different authorities, some the iconic people, those who helped me in data collection. They called the respondents, okay, here I have one fellow friends, you want to research in this area, Sharia governance, is doing very well, he has a good research question, so can you help me this, and maybe you can help me, I want to send him to meet with you. So in that case, I got that support from the respondents. That was the very easier for me to collect the data, and I collected data in a very shortened period. And between the concrete bits of data and abstract concepts, between the inductive and deductive reasoning, between the description and interpretation, a complex process involves moving back and forth. This is the procedure. And simply put, data analysis is the process of making meaning from the data. In data analysis, normally we want to the proper sense, actual sense of the data, of the information, want to show our readers that we got this information. This is very new, this is very important, this is very crucial for the regulators, for the policymakers, for the society, for the culture, for the maybe our practitioners, our industry, teaching industry, or maybe the banking industry, whatever. This is something new. It will be very effective and fruitful. We should link with our justifications with the industry and industry to solve the problems of the industry as well as the practical session. Explore the data by reading through all of the information to obtain a general sense of the information. All of the information, all of the coding, it should have a proper meaning and proper sense. Memo ideas while thinking about the organization of the data and considering whether more data are needed. Jot memos in margins of field notes, transcription documents, and photos. Maybe we can put proper justifications. During my viva, my examiner asked me the question, okay, I saw here too many interview transcriptions, your just coding procedure from NVivo. You put some quotations from your interviews. I did not see any observational notes or maybe any documental evidence in your research, in your thesis. And then I mentioned that here I have some documental evidence. I collected these documents from the respondents. I also collected some documents from the website. So I just linked with the findings, interview findings, respondents responses in my thesis, as well as I put some observation. I put observation that when I made the respondents, their expression, I made it personally. When they entertained me, they explained me very well. Some of them said that this is very crucial, this is very critical, this is very important for you. So don't put my name, publish my name in your research, otherwise I will be in trouble. But I'm sharing this information for your research, for the countries, or from the industry's betterment, for the industry's better outputs. So they explored some things, and I saw their observations. They're busy Sometimes they're busy, they call me for that, they entertain me, and they provide some observations, some documents, and they help me how that way I put that coding. I put that justifications in my interviews and in my writings. Coding and clustering. Coding is the process of combining data for themes, ideas, categorizing, and then marking similar passages of text with a code level so that they can easily be retrieved at a later stage for future comparison and analysis. In that case, normally we open coding. Normally we open code, we then we code, and after that the some group of codes and cluster, we make a cluster sub theme, we make a some group, and then after that we make a correlation with the sum, develop something and prepare the theme, prepare the main theme. And this is the issue. And categorizing, a process of to make group patterns observed in the data into meaningful units or categories. Some group, we have the sum group, maybe students, this can be a group. After that, in the students category, you have the some maybe science background, arts background, medical students. After that, in medical or maybe science background or maybe in commerce background, we have some cluster, maybe honors school level, college level. In college level, we have some cluster classification, and maybe we can make a theme, something like this. And categorizing, after that, thematizing, looking for relationship between the themes. And codes can be based on the themes, topic, ideas, concept, terms, phrases, and keywords. These are the issues we look on preparing in the open coding theme. Also the research title, research topic, research questions, research sub questions, interview questions, ideas, and concept. And theoretical, from the theoretical perception also, we can look on the theoretical base. Oh, okay, this is in relation, this have the relationship with my theory, in my theory. And maybe you can look from that side also, and from that concept in terms, maybe you will gauge this is the saturation process. I get some new observational notes, so I put this new category, new code in that cases. And you also can look your keywords in your research keywords or in your article or thesis keywords. So in that case, maybe it can be country, it can be research area. And also in the methodological side, if you had something new observational, maybe you can also coding in terms of the methodology. Here are steps in analysis, transcription of the recorded data, familiarization with data. When you transcript the data, you will be familiarized with the data. You know the way the processing, the respondent interviews, the what they say in every interviews. You can, when you read simultaneously, you will get some ideas. And organization and indexing of data, coding the data, development of provisional categories, exploration of relationship between the categories, and identification of themes, refinement of themes and categories, and development of a theory and incorporation of pre-existing knowledge, testing of theory against data, and reporting writing. And in my cases, I had to link with my theory, institutional theory and Sharia governance. I did not find any specific paper, full paper regarding theoretical paper regarding institutional theory and Sharia governance. And then I prepared I developed one conceptual framework and prepared one manuscript. And I justified why this theory is more appropriate or more relevant. Institutional theory is more relevant to the Sharia governance. I found the papers and as well as the benchmarking practices, their evolving practices, their evaluation of the industry, specific industry in terms of institutional theory and also the corporate governance. Then I make a link and make a correlation with my theory and my findings. And reliability and validity in qualitative research. Reliability concerns the ability to different researchers to make the same observation of a given phenomenon if and when the observation is conducted using the same method and procedures. Here we are taking observation, taking field notes, some other observation here, documentation, something like this. And validity is not a commodity that can be purchased with the techniques. Rather, validity is like integrity, character, and quality to be assessed relative to purposes and circumstances. Normally here we put some quotations. We have the character integrity as a researcher. We have to meet with the respondents. We need to record. We need to provide some notes, practical issues here, and data triangulation. On data triangulation, maybe we can hear data triangulation using dual methods or using more than one approaches to collect data. Maybe we can use focus group. We can take personal interviews. We can collect documents. We can see the observation, field notes. So we have a total 3 or 4 instruments here to prove our data, and we can provide data triangulation. Okay, we collected data, and maybe it will be more valid and for the readers and to the editors as well as the reviewers. The guiding ethical principles here: respect for human dignity, respect for the free and informed consent, respect for the vulnerable person, respect for privacy and confidentiality, respect for the justice and inclusiveness, balancing harms and benefits, minimizing harm and maximizing benefit here. So we cannot attack personally, maybe religious or ethnicity or any specific community. We cannot hurt them, their religious views and their personal integrity or person. We cannot attack personally. We cannot ask any inherent personal issue in that case. But if it related with the inherent human, maybe if you can ask me something like this, their conjugal life, or maybe it can be maybe the AIDS addiction with the people, we want to explore how they addicted with the AIDS, maybe they have any relationship with that. In that case, maybe we can ask some personal issue. We need to ask the respondent some personal issue, and it is very critical for the researchers to ask and to collect from those respondents, because we do not know, and we cannot ask, and all of the respondents, they will not be interested to provide that information. Some inherent or personal information will not be very used to provide our information here. And reporting and presenting qualitative data here, principles of reporting here, Sandalowski 1998, determining the point or a story, what is the main storyline. So for example, in one of my paper, I want to explore the reasons why Bangladesh doesn't have still the Sharia governance framework, because Bangladesh is one of the first Southeast Asian country where Islam banking started in 1983. Malaysia also started in 1983, but we started 2 months earlier or 3 months earlier in Bangladesh. So in that case, I would like to, I intended to explore the reasons why. So in that case, I have the storytelling writing. We should explore, okay, these are the reasons. Maybe here some parties, there are some lapses and some limitations from different parties, maybe from regulators, from the industry practitioners, from the industries, as well as also from government, society, or from the general people. So here should be a storytelling. After that, there is a sequence where you can explain very clearly, one by one. After that, and emphasizing the character, sense, or plot, how to test or tell the story, balancing description, analysis, and interpretation. Description and analysis, you will critically analyze, okay, here this is the findings, I got the findings, and this may be the analysis. In the cases you mentioned that, okay, these are the reasons, and these are where the most important issue that there is not a comprehensive Sharia governance framework. Interpretation, your justification with some other prior findings, some prior references or literature. And taking point of view and voice seriously when you will situate yourself, the researcher, in the narrative, and taking metaphor seriously as a theoretical device, comparing a target process to a balancing act and required explanation. And in writing, we should explain in the conclusion part, we have the limitations of the study, future research recommendation, our study implication, and in the lastly conclusion part here, we should highlight the limitations of the study, why what was and what was our limitations in the study, and future research recommendation, where you completed and how you can extend the future research. The future research can extend your area, or what are the prospective area the researchers can work, they can increase or enhance. Maybe it can be quantitative, or it can be another cross-sectional way, and maybe both qualitative and mixed method, or also that can be quantitative method here, some of the issues. And this is the end from myself. Thank you very much. Dr. Shahabuddin, please. Hello, Dr. Shahabuddin. Okay, so if you have any questions regarding our presentation, maybe in qualitative research or interview, something, you can ask questions. I do not know whether our prof is here still. Prof Mushi.
Maybe Prof Murshid is not available. So
okay, so regarding the session, if you have any questions, so you can ask me. I also shared my paper in the Zoom inbox, as well as I will share in WhatsApp, so that you can read and get some basic idea about the qualitative research. I try to incorporate all of the issues in methodological part in a research. So I think it will be helpful for you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Kausar Alam, for your nice presentation and shared this session, very good insights. Hopefully, our audience and participants get some insights from your session. So now is floor is open for question. Have you any question you can ask to Dr. Kausar Alam?
Yes, I have a question. I'm Dr. Aida from the IIUM. All right. Can I ask, yes, can I ask with regards to validity and reliability in qualitative research, how could you like elaborate more about this? Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof, for your questions. Normally in qualitative research, it is more valid than the quantitative research, but I'm not saying that quantitative research is not valid. In qualitative research, we have some quotations from the respondents. And normally we quote and we put some quotes and notes and quotations in our research paper, in our thesis. So these are basically from the respondents. This is the first issue. We need to put the observational notes as well as some supporting documents, and we can collect some documents, relevant documents from the respondent. This is the most important issue, and it is more valid that more valid and more acceptance as it is you generate the findings or quotations or quotes from the basic from the main interviews as well as from the preliminary data sources here. From a broad descriptive data sources, from descriptive interviews and your data bank, you just quote some relevant issues to provide better output and a better scenario to your readers.
Okay, doctor, thank you. So I have one question. Maybe in qualitative research, most of the researchers suffer the saturation, data saturation. So how the researcher overcome this situation if they have the data saturation problem?
Okay, normally still it's a debate. It's a matter of debate regarding the saturation. Normally, what we do with the qualitative researchers, maybe after taking 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 respondents, or maybe 20, 50 respondents. Normally, all of we uses that information redundancy data. So we reach the data saturation, the saturational point, but very little we have that evidence regarding that. So in that case, I mentioned that in my paper, I found 3 procedure how I get the saturation process here. I got the information redundancy, the first point. Second, it was that the referencing to the respondents without knowing the responses. Okay, that maybe I meet maybe head of the department, or maybe one of the junior teachers, or maybe the senior teacher, maybe something like this, or maybe one of the professor. But in the department, maybe we have a new teacher. He knows very well in methodology, or maybe in our specific area. Then maybe in that case, the prof maybe can referring to that teacher, specific teacher. Okay, you can meet with that respondents. Is very well known. He knows very good in this area, and he know very comprehensively. So it can also be. And finally, I showed that the coding procedure in data coding, I found that in my first, second, third interviews, it was increasing. After 5, 3 or 4, it was decreasing. My codes and my notes were decreasing. Initial coding and initial notes codes were decreasing. After taking 2 or 7, when I reached the 7 or 8, then I found that, oh, it's increasing more than I found that maybe 50 or 60 codes from the 7, 8 respondents. After taking 2 or 3 respondents, I met another respondents, and I found that, oh, okay, they're saying similar issues, and I did not get any relevant or important issues, or some effective, or maybe the quotations that is produce good results or good meaning or good sense. I did not find too many notes or quotations in the respondents interview which makes a good sense to our readers and to the research issue. So in that case, maybe you can look at 2 or 3 stages. After that, maybe you can look at the respondents, their expression, and maybe you can ask the respondents whether you left some sound, or maybe some potential respondents or potential person who knows very well. Maybe you can ask the respondent during or after completing the interviews. In that case, maybe if you think that, okay, you may have not, maybe you already reached most of the cases, the interviews, the potential participants, and then maybe you can consider the saturation. But still, it's a debating issue. It's a debating issue. in the qualitative research, how we reach the saturation.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor. I have a
Assalamu alaikum.
Can I ask?
Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah,
Can I ask a question?
Please.
Right. My question is related to saturation, just what you have mentioned. Let's say if in a study there is one FGD conducted and the respondents were specialist informants, so the researcher couldn't get more than one FGD. Now, how would you like to deal with the issue of saturation in this case? And the second point is two of the methods of collecting data and analyze data, as I have come across, is called content analysis and then document analysis. Could you please just shed some light on those two, if you have time, Doctor?
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Sabir Ahmed, my elder brother. Thank you, nice to see you here. The issue is that from my observation and from my understanding that it was regarding the focus group interview regarding, first one is the focus group, okay?
Yeah, focus group. FGD.
Okay. If you do not have that case, maybe in that case, I did some research with my students here. They take interviews, focus group interview, maybe from one group of people, and just support their individual findings from the personal interviews to group of people. Maybe in that case, maybe just say for example that I have collected 17 interviews, and maybe to justify to Blender my findings, I can maybe arrange a focus group. If I have the dual opinion in that case, maybe we can arrange a focus group, one focus group. Maybe it will be and second one is the documentation and content analysis. In documentation means in qualitative documentation we can collect from during the interview period and to justify our findings. And in content analysis, we do not have maybe some issues regarding the interviews. Maybe we can in that case maybe some in from library research or website interviews, something like this in conceptual or any other reading. This is my understanding regarding the issue.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. I have a question.
Please.
I'm a beginner level researcher. Which method can I follow to grow my?
Sorry?
I'm a beginner level.
Yeah.
Which method I can follow to grow?
Which method you can follow? Sorry, last word I did not hear.
Yeah, you want to which method he should follow? Which method he should, qualitative or quantitative? He is the beginner level.
Normally, okay, thank you very much for your question, brother. Normally, it depends on your study area. If you want to something like that, explore broadly, that something like this. So this is there is no work regarding the area. It's maybe that maybe develop something or regarding this area you do not have enough literature. In that case, you can apply qualitative. If you have enough literature, maybe in the context of your country or Bangladesh or maybe Malaysia, you have no works. But in other country context, developing country context, developed country context, there is too many literatures and there are too many works. So in that case, if you country do not have that of the observation or research, maybe you can apply quantitative research. But it depends on your study objective, what you want to study or research. It depends on your research area and your study area, as well as the existing literature you have in the online. It may be other country perspective, it's not a big problem.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any question?
I have one question. Yeah, that
Okay,
if we start,
okay.
yeah, if we start our research, so how could we? Okay, we understand that someone like qualitative or someone depending on the situation, someone can go for the qualitative or quantitative. So should I start in one? If we, for example, if I start with qualitative, should I start in one, or I have a scope to go explore the both types of research, qualitative and quantitative?
You can go for both. You can go for also single, but it depends, as I mentioned earlier, that it depends on your study area. What is the intention or aim of your research? What you want to do? It depends on your area, and your intention, your methodology also shows. Your title can reflect your methodology. I can say that which method you followed by see your research title and what title you should follow. And maybe in quantitative research we have some mediating or moderator. We can mediating moderator, independent variable, dependent variable in our research title. But in qualitative research it's totally different. You will not find any. Maybe you can separate or differentiate, oh, this can be a independent or dependent variable, but you will not find a direct relationship or direct issue in mediator, moderator, independent or dependent variable. But it depends on your study area. Before that, you should read the literature, and whether you can find, if you find that okay, there is no recent literature regarding this issue, in that case maybe you can go for qualitative. You can develop yourself a questionnaire. After that you can follow the process. But another one issue is that something like this, okay, if you want to research this area, maybe you need to depend, or you have to depend on the secondary data sources, but there is no secondary data available in the context of, maybe in context of disclosure, something like you can say that like Bangladesh, okay, we do not have enough secondary sources or data bank or data, but our company is not disclose some more broad information. In that case, it will be very difficult. When you select your research, initially in your short proposal, you should think about your data, whether respondents or your data respondents are available, whether it can be qualitative or it could be quantitative. So you should think about that, whether your data sources are available. Maybe your data is available, but you can purchase from some data bank or data sources, but it's very expensive. In that case, maybe you can escape that research. But it depends on your literature, whatever you have at your hand, existing literature.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, please, Noor Ibrahim, brother.
Okay,
Hello,
now maybe raise hand.
Hello.
Muhammad Noora Ibrahim. Okay, ask your question please to our doctor.
Okay, salam, doctor. My questions is I just want more information regarding the problem statement and the background of study in the qualitative research. Is there any differences between the quantitative and qualitative research in writing the background of the study and then the problem statement? Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Normally, background of the study, we normally hear some little or slightly differences here in the statement in your narration. In the background, you can illustrate the industry situation, your country context, your area of the study, some issue, some hypothetical or some statistical issues. It's better. In quantitative, we put normally more statistical information in the background, but in qualitative, I did not put too much statistical information, maybe very little, whatever the industry number, something very narrative, very simple, one or maybe two statistical information in my background of the part. But after completing the background in qualitative, I put some critical reasons that I should explore why I should go that one, why we do not have this, what is the impact, and why should I do this research. And in case of quantitative, you have the findings, you have the results at your hand in different country contexts or maybe different other industry contexts. In that case, maybe there is a dissimilarities among the findings. Some are supporting the hypothesis, your concept or your notion, what you want to intend to solve. Maybe in different country contexts you have the result, but there is a dissimilar result. Some saying it's true, it's false, it's true, it's false regarding their country context. It's effective, it's not effective. There is a positive relation, there is a negative relation. You can somehow relate with that in quantitative, but in qualitative you do not have that relationship at your hand, that okay, some of the findings here that they found that something positive, negative, you do not have. So here some slightly different in the way of writing in qualitative and quantitative.
Okay, one of the participants, Sumaya Muhammad, she put her questions in the chat box. Assalamu alaikum, doctor. My study is about developing a new questionnaire I distributed open-ended questions to get more idea from my population to reflect the culture. I used Google Form to distribute the open-ended questions based on the response of the sample. I make statement, is it okay? Or shall I conduct qualitative data analysis?
In open-ended question, normally you can ask anything you respondent, and based on your observation and findings, you can prepare. I use Google Form to distribute to open-ended questions, and based on the response of the sample, I make a statement. Is that okay? You can do that also, and Google Form, and I shall conduct qualitative data analysis. To reflect the culture. Okay, I also use Google Form. In that case, if your answer is broad, I think so you can use any software. If not, maybe if there is some very narrow findings, maybe you can just open-ended questions.
It's okay.
It's not clear to me properly also, but that's the issue here.
Sure. May I add over here if it's
yeah,
okay?
please.
Yeah, so hi, this is Kimbadhanti Sabir. So sir, I did a similar thing. I don't know if it helps the other madam. So I've done a similar thing where a portion of the recent research I did on maternal nutrition during pregnancy was open-ended. The way I actually depends whether you want to, how I am not as expert as sir, but what I did was that the answers, I tallied them. I had an initial tally done. And then what I did was the next step, I categorize them after I have an initial tally done. So sometimes it is possible, depending on the number of respondents, to get quantitative data out from open-ended Google Form questions. Depending on your questions have to be very specific, because when you're asking those questions, ideally you need to at least be able to extrapolate what type of answers you get or determine the direction. And then you could easily do it in Excel.
Okay, thank you very much. I saw your questions. Thank you, Madam Kimbadhanti. Kimbadhanti, I saw your questions. Regarding your questions, if it is same like that, open-ended questions, you collect data from Google Form by using Google Form. In that case, you can use quantitative method. But by Google Form, by using Google Form, you cannot collect the qualitative data. What we mean that in qualitative data, it can be interviews. Maybe it can be personal interview, it can be the group interview. So you can use quantitative software. If you want to justify your quantitative findings more broadly, if it's not in a saturational or it's not a standard level, in qualitatives there is validity or maybe deviation, mean and moderation, something like this. If you do not have that, reach that position, maybe you can validate your findings by taking 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 interviews. That I found this in my open-ended question, okay, blah, 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 blah. And I want to justify, okay, do you think that what is the reasons or something like this? You can ask another participant in your interviews. Excel spreadsheet, normally we use in quantitative. We use in quantitative. In qualitative use, normally we use NVivo, ATLAS.ti, not ATLAS, ATLAS.ti 10, some other few. Now we have some other few sources, but NVivo, I used NVivo, it's very popular, and ATLAS.ti, and I heard another one software, but at this moment I forgot that one because I did not have that access one and I did not try that one.
Sir, as even if it's open-ended and written, if the format is written, sir, then it's automatically perceived to be quantitative.
It can be quantitative because in the respondent, because you do not have that option, you do not have that chance to ask some questions to the participants. Because it's open-ended question, you ask me whether I'm well or not, what was my problem. Maybe I can write 2 or 3 sentences, but why my problem was occurred, maybe I will not write that one. Okay, due to some these reasons I face these problems, I will not maybe explain, but I can explain some problems, okay, I have these problems. So in the interviews, in the open-ended question, just maybe they can write 1 or 2 sentences or 3 sentences, but you do not have that option, do not have the chance to ask more questions to get the more in-depth scenario of that situation.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much, sir. That was very helpful.
Muhammad Deen Islam Bhai, he raised one question. Doctor, can you please highlight on conceptual or theoretical framework under qualitative research?
Conceptual framework, theoretical framework, normally both is used to, and maybe we normally use this interchangeably. In qualitative research, normally we use the theoretical framework. Normally we do not have, sometimes we do not have the framework in qualitative research. But in quantitative, we have the conceptual framework with the IVDV mediator moderator in our study area. And we link our context with the theoretical theory that which theory or theory supports our context and the relationship, and explain this area in quantitative. But normally in qualitative, you will not find too many conceptual framework, or maybe you'll find maybe only some of them use conceptual or maybe theoretical framework to connect the theories. And most of the cases you will not find this framework in qualitative research.
Okay, Khaled Saifullah, you raise your hand for action question. Please ask your question, please. Khaled Saifullah.
Here I can see the two questions here in the inbox. Here the research informants in qualitative research. Normally in qualitative research, it depends. It depends on your data saturation. It depends on your respondents. Sometimes something like this, you can take interview from the CFO, the managing director from the company. Maybe you can take 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's also enough for a qualitative research. It depends on your findings. It depends on your justification and data saturation. Normally in a group, 8 to 12 people is enough for a single group of people. You can enlighten 40, some say 30, some say 40, some say 50. Normally highest is the 50. I found also one paper that they used 100 respondents, but I did not find too many findings, broad findings of the paper, and only just 1.5 page findings from 100 respondents, but I don't know. So it depends on your study area. It depends on your research respondent, and also research matter, that whether you should take 5, you have that level also just take 5, or take, if you take the lower level or middle level, it depends, you need to increase the number. You should increase the number. If you take the high level authority, maybe we can lower equal to lower and high 3:1 you can take, or you can assumption that. In bibliometric analysis, normally what we do as based on my understanding that we normally search the research maybe from this year to this year, maybe 2005 2020, whatever the research, based on our keywords we search and find the paper, and search and refresh our papers. And in that case, after that, which papers are maybe in area, then you can choose the paper. Initially, maybe you can choose the corporate governance. After that, what is your maybe keyword? Then you can synchronize, and you can refresh or reconcile, or maybe reorganize the paper, the documents based on your keyword. So you can something like this do that way, and search your papers that way. The statement that I write based on the respondent answer, I took them and put them as items in my newly developed questionnaire. So was confused whether shall I run qualitative answer or just simplify, say that I made estimates from the respondent answer. Okay, here I also did same issue during my interviews. I got some clues from the previous, maybe second, third, or fourth respondents. They gave me some issues. Then I asked the following respondents. I hear that the previous respondents or previous literature, they raised this question that these are the reasons, these are the issue. So do you agree with that? What is the reasons? Then if he agrees or if he not agree, so I can ask the question that, okay, you are agree. Okay, so what is the reason behind this agree, you are agree, and what was the reason not agree? I can ask that question here. And if you don't get the issue, maybe for validate, you more validate your question, maybe you can make a quantitative questionnaire, and again you can collect some maybe 100, 125 or 50 collect questionnaire from the participant. source websites as documentation. Could you clarify internet source website as documentation? Yes, internet source documentation in qualitative research. You can use this in your literature review part. You can also put some website documents, internet sources to support your findings in the discussion part also. I also use some documents published by Central Bank or Bangladesh Bank. So I use the documents to validate my findings. Some of the respondents, they raised the issue that please the Bangladesh Bank guideline, BRPT guideline number 13, 17, 15, something like this. They mentioned that. And they suggested me to download their documents. Then they said that you will get all of the information there here, and also with that supporting of the documents, we want to say something. They added something with that additional, and I also added their comments with that the published documents of the Central Bank. Is it possible to have two different sets of respondents? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So is it possible to have two different sets of respondents based on two different sets of interview question for one research only? Yes, I saw one. I found one thesis. She a Malaysian thesis, PBS Putra Business School. She's also pursuing PhD now at UPM. She used three different sets of questions for three different parties. For one is Sharia scholars, for the board of directors and management, as well as another one for the Sharia officers. She prepared three sets of questionnaire because something you want to know from the Sharia scholars, something from the Sharia officers, those who are working and they play their role as a moderating. And some board of directors, their question will not be similar. I also use that one. I have the question for the Sharia boards members as well as for the central banks executives. So when I ask something about my central bank or regulators, regulatory respondents, they say, sorry, we are not concerned, and I don't know about much more about this area. Maybe you can ask the Sharia board members. So, and in that case, maybe I did not ask the second respondent or third respondents about the issue that Sharia issues of the Islam Bank or the Sharia scholars issue to the regulatory side. And some of the cases, the Sharia officers, they don't know about something about the regulatory side. So I also escaped that one. And when I found that some of the respondents, they are very fluent in speaking the both side, maybe they have intention. When I found something that, okay, he has the knowledge and he knows about that, and he is very concerned about, then I have some of the questions and he answered. You can also ask both questions if you have that knowledge in that case. In one thesis, it is acceptable. To perform Cohen's Qiqqa, no, it's not necessary or compulsory. Just follow your supervisor guidelines. Sometimes your supervisor don't follow that one, or your supervisor suggests you to follow something different way. So you should follow your supervisor's also suggestions. We will share our slides. Inshallah, I will request our prof, Dr. Mushi, then we will share our today's slide in WhatsApp as well as in your email, maybe. Inshallah.
One question: what is the correct word to use between validity and trustworthiness in qualitative research?
In that case, I used two, validity and trustworthiness. You can use these two word interchangeably. You can use maybe validity, you can change trustworthiness, or maybe ethical consideration. You can also use both, but it depends on your supervisors whether they prepare which one, validity, reliability, which one they can use. And trustworthiness, you can put some documents and put some evidence that why your research or your findings is trustworthy, and maybe interviews, document collection, as well as the observation. You can put that one. It depends on your supervisors, and sometimes they will suggest you don't put this one, don't use this one, this one. You can use both, and also one you can interchangeably. It depends on you and your supervisor.
maybe we can close our session almost 11 p.m. in Malaysia. So it's
we are recording our session. Hopefully, after completing the session, we will share the recording and drive. Khalid Saifullah.
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
If I want to do qualitative research with only 10 respondents, and then how many FGD can I take, or how much reasonable or preferable in this case?
In a qualitative research, 10 respondent is enough.
Okay.
For a qualitative research, is in-depth or maybe personal interviews, no problem. But issue is that if you want to validate your findings, the respondents' findings, you can take focus group maybe 1, maybe 2. Whether if you have the more group opportunity to create more groups, maybe 5, 6, 7, or 10, maybe you can take until 4. 4 is I think enough. 2 also enough, or 1 also enough if you do not have, or if you get the exact result or scenario from the focus group interviews.
Okay, thank you.
Muhammad Noura. So thank you very much for participating this event. I would like to thank again my supervisor here, my professor, Dr. Mushi, though he is not here. I'm very thankful to him for his valuable time, his speech, and thank you all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Dr. Shahabuddin, please.
Okay, Dr. Kausar, thank you very much for your nice presentation. Hopefully, it's a earlier I mentioned that this is the conceptual and theoretical session. That's why we're taking 2 hours time for this session. So many participants request me for the hands-on session for analyzing data qualitative research. For the hands-on session, it is not quite enough time, 2 hours, because for hands-on session data analysis using the NVivo, minimum we have to take a day-long session. So we have a plan next time, inshallah. We will arrange a day-long session analyzing the qualitative data using NVivo. So keep in touch and be safe, stay safe. During this pandemic, all of the participants join with us. That's why I would like to give you the special thanks to all the participants. Thank you very much. Be safe, stay safe. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.